Wednesday, September 28th. Welcome to this week's edition of CT Pulse on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski. Josh Fisher, for better or worse, is back. We missed you, Josh. Welcome.
Good to be back, Kate. Thank you.
And we have a great show today to talk about a few news stories, to talk about some political news we're going to cover later on in the show. Of course, Doug Smith will join us for some drawing conclusions later on. And we have a special guest today.
Yeah. Carol Liebau, who's the president of the Yankee Institute for Public Policy up in Hartford, a wonderful think tank that really takes a good look, I think, at some of the spending mishaps that have been going on for the past quarter century here in Connecticut. At least, Carol, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks. Great to be with you all.
Now, first, Carol, can you just give folks an overview of what the Yankee Institute does and what you guys focus on?
Sure. At the Yankee Institute, we're dedicated to advancing policies that promote smart, limited government, fairness for taxpayers, and an open road to opportunity for all the people in our state. We just believe that everyone in Connecticut should be free to succeed, however they define success.
And Connecticut Can Work is a new policy that you guys have been rolling out. And from what I've seen, it's kind of about cutting out some of the red tape for businesses, moving things forward. Tell us a little bit about it.
Right. You know, Connecticut Can Work is our effort to help advance some policies that are going to allow people to find jobs, help job creators create those jobs, and really help our state economy grow. You know, we all know that we have a lot of economic challenges here in Connecticut. And the question is, how do we solve them? Even the governor has admitted that taxing has, as he put it, come a cropper. And so the question is, what are we going to do? And the only real answer to solve a lot of these challenges is to have economic growth. That's what's going to restore our state. That's what's going to help our people prosper, going to make business vibrant again. So Connecticut Can Work is an initiative devoted to proposing some common sense reforms that won't cost the government anything, but are going to help people get ahead, which is exactly what we've had too little of in the last recent years.
What are some of the ways that we could turn the state around? I mean, this is a generation, I think, has been used to a lack of economic growth here in Connecticut, right?
You are so right. You know, it's interesting, job growth in Connecticut has been among the slowest in the nation. We're 41st in job growth. And young people between the ages of 25 and 34, when you should really be able to get that foot on the ladder of opportunity, we have the second highest unemployment in the whole country, 7.8% unemployment among that group. And, you know, we took that and we looked at what people looking for jobs were saying, job creators. You know, something like 79% of Connecticut's job creators have said that all the red tape, all the regulations, the mandates makes it more difficult to grow their business, and that too often the regulations are vague and they're unclear and it costs time and money. And that's why probably Connecticut's gotten an F from small business people across the country when it comes to business friendliness. So Connecticut Can Work is an effort to sort of encapsulate what needs to happen for our businesses in 3 words: open, grow, and succeed. And the open, what we need to do is reform and streamline occupational licensing laws. We have just an incredible abundance of laws that sort of hold people back. You know, solopreneurs, people who could go out and make a living and make a life for themselves. And yet, even in Connecticut, 54 low-wage jobs, it requires something like an average of $173 and over 200 days of training just to go and get a license to do this. That ought to change. We need to review all the requirements for professional licensing. Make sure that they're actually protecting the public rather than just creating barriers to entry for a profession. And we ought to look at extending the opportunity wage, which is entry-level pay for young people, a little bit below the minimum wage for people under 21, that would indeed help them get their foot on the ladder of opportunity and give job creators an incentive to hire them and help them and develop them into people who will be able to go on and prosper. That's sort of the open part.
Right. And I think the grow, I'm just looking at the grow part of the policy, which I find very interesting, because one of the first parts that you guys talk about is embracing a sharing sharing economy and technological innovation by encouraging some non-traditional businesses. And these are things that we've been talking about before, Tesla, Airbnb. You kind of mentioned those. Can you talk about that a little bit and some of the ways that they aren't always so welcome in the Connecticut economy?
Sure. You know, even things like Uber. And you look, and a lot of the entrenched interests, they want to protect their market. They want to keep competition out.
Right.
And we understand that, I mean, of course, but you know, the way to succeed isn't by keeping out competitors, it's by outperforming them. And in the meantime, it holds costs down for consumers and everyone's better off. And so we think we ought to be encouraging competition and we ought to be encouraging that sort of thing rather than trying to hold it back. We ought to be increasing access to technical education for people whose interests and talents run in that direction. You know, you can lead a very happy, fulfilled, and prosperous life, you know, even if you don't speak ancient Greek. If you have a skill that you care about and that you're good at and that you can use to make a life for yourself and a family. And then doing things like in the GROW component, reducing the wait time for permits. It isn't right to put out this whole obstacle course of permits that businesses need and then slow walk the process of handing them out. So that's GROW.
Right. So, and before we get to succeed, I mean, all this makes sense, but it seems like this state is so bases its budgeting on these permit processes, on the regulations and the extra charges for businesses. I mean, we end up hitting a deficit almost every single year because the forecasts are so high for whether it's the conveyance tax or other fees that businesses and individuals are charged. How do we turn that around?
Well, you know, I think we need to look at whether we're being penny wise and pound foolish. Because to the extent that these regulations persuade job creators to go to other states,
Right.
or force us to do what the legislature just did with Sikorsky and hand over $220 million in taxpayer money simply to incentivize them to stay. Wouldn't it be fairer and better to go ahead and to streamline the process and make it easier to be able to collect some reasonable taxes from a wide variety of flourishing businesses rather than trying to nickel and dime the ever diminishing number of businesses that remain in the state. And you know, we've seen that over time. That's why we find our state in economic problems. That's why something like 64% of Connecticut's people say that it's hard to find a job in their community, and why 7,000 more people are looking for jobs in Connecticut this year than just were last year, because businesses realize we can't deal with the hassle. We can't deal with the nickel and diming. We can't deal with systemic obstruction from a state government that should instead be encouraging us to do what we need to do.
Let's get so how do we succeed? So we did open, we did grow, and
Right.
let's succeed, Carol.
Well, you know, succeed for one thing is to be able to increase the pace of hiring, make it easier for job creators to hire by reforming unemployment insurance and workers' compensation. Right now, we have heard so many stories from small business people who are really afraid to hire because of the costs that come along with it through an old system that really we need to take a look at. And that's an important part. We need to eliminate punitive fines from things like OSHA for, you know, for example, a first violation where there's no threat to public health or public safety, and offer businesses the opportunity to comply with some of the suggestions that the agencies make initially without being penalized. And you know, we would like to see having the first $10,000 of personal property from property owned by businesses exempted from taxes. All of those are common sense, very low cost ways to send the message to our job creators that we want you to be in Connecticut. We want to partner with you, not obstruct you, and help you succeed.
So has there been any response yet to this proposal that you've heard out of Hartford?
No, we have not heard any response yet from Hartford, but of course, you know, our goal is to start this conversation and make sure that these ideas are out there and that people of any party or of none who care to discuss these ideas and advocate for these ideas can do it when the legislature comes in, whether, you know, in a special session or in January. You know, they're ready to deal with this.
And as you mentioned before, it was pretty shocking. You shared some graphs with us to kind of see how far down the list, like job growth in Connecticut, just kind of scrolling down. There it is right there. It is kind of jarring to see that, even though, you know, where are we even?
Which one is this?
Yeah, there you go.
There
you go.
The job growth.
Job growth through
Since
2015.
1990, right?
Right.
Right. And then, as you mentioned, younger workers. Josh, you're no longer in this. I know it breaks your heart, but 25 to 34.
Yeah, right.
Keep scrolling down.
Because we're right there at
It
the
is
bottom
jarring.
again.
Kate, I'm
See?
happy that you have a job.
Yeah, thank heavens for
too.
Alabama, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Keeping us from last place. Wow.
But you know, we can do better. And we've got so many bright, energetic people in the state who want to work.
So a few years ago, the Malloy administration did the First Five
Right.
program, and which was now that benefited companies like ESPN also, right?
Right.
And then other new companies, or was that was not the one that brought in companies out of state? That was
Well, you know, here's the thing, right,
Right.
about First Five and all of these sorts of things. We don't believe that government should be picking winners and losers. We don't believe that job creation or your ability to have a business or to get taxpayer money to boost your business, you know, that shouldn't be happening. And it certainly shouldn't depend on being one of the lucky few who are selected or connected or protected in some way. And in our view, the better course and the fairer course for everyone, big business, small business alike, is for the state to stop trying to subsidize business creation and instead just start fostering entrepreneurial growth. That's the way to encourage everyone and to make it fair for anyone with the initiative and the drive and the talent to have a
Which
business.
is something that we really see with a lot of the southern states and companies starting down there, because a number of them don't have the income tax or other taxes that we see up here. And it's not picking and choosing which companies don't to pay the taxes. It's everyone has a level playing field.
Exactly.
And you know, if you want to live in an ugly state like Texas, it might be worth it because your taxes are less.
Well, exactly. I mean,
Texas is an ugly state. That's a fact. Kate.
There's some nice parts.
Yeah, there's some nice parts of
We have a lot of viewers in tech. No, I'm just kidding.
not anymore.
Not anymore.
But at any rate, yeah, I mean, and that's the whole point, is level the playing field, give everyone the opportunity, and let a million flowers bloom. And that's the way Connecticut can start growing its way out of a lot of the fiscal challenges we're encountering.
So what is your reaction when last week you see Governor Malloy kind of doing a victory lap of sorts about saving Sikorsky and keeping it here? I mean, what was your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, any job that is saved is, of course, a wonderful thing. And we embrace all job creators here in Connecticut. But the fact, again, is that wouldn't it be simpler and fairer rather than having to go to, you know, big companies where we've heard of all kinds of companies. I'm sure you read about the auto parts company and, you know, that have to leave the state. They weren't big enough to matter enough to get a special deal. And the Zordans wrote about it, the owners of the company. They had been part of the fabric of their community for years and years and years. And now they're leaving for South Carolina because they couldn't get a special deal like Sikorsky got. Let's make it fair for everyone. As you say, let's level the playing field.
But so how do you get this message across to the people who are in charge up in Hartford? Because it's, you know, I mean, the fact of the matter is that the Democrats run Connecticut, and a lot of them who are in charge in Hartford are entrenched in the way that we've been doing things for an entire generation now. Right? I mean, those numbers, you look at how we've had the least amount of job growth and innovation since 1990. Well, the income tax came into effect in 1991.
Right.
So, you know, you got to think that that's tied to this, and there's no way in the world that I could imagine Hartford repealing the income tax.
Well, you know, that's where folks like you and your viewers come in. Because in the end, the Yankee Institute is of course nonpartisan. But the people who are up there making these decisions work for you.
Right.
And you have the power to decide if you like what they're doing, and you have the power to help change what they're doing. And that's what we count on when we do this. I mean, obviously, some people in our operation talk to legislators, but ultimately, the people who have the power are the people who have a ballot.
Yeah.
And I know people can get a lot of information at this at connecticutcanwork.org.
Yes.
Right?
In Connecticut, all spelled out.
All spelled out, connecticutcanwork.org. Carol, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to say goodbye to you, but we do want to play a video that you actually had on connecticutcanwork.org. Interesting about some of the burdens put on youth sports leagues as far as coaches and umpires trying to work. So we're going to go out with that, but Carol, we so appreciate you joining us today.
Well, we're delighted to be with you, and we really do think Connecticut can work. So
Keep up the good work.
we'll do it.
All right, let's check it out.
I know that Department of Labor wants their taxes, but it's on the back of these children. Soccer Club is about developing youth sports athletes in the game of soccer. We're a town club. We're not a for-profit organization, a premier club or something like that. In early, I guess it's 2014 now, a little over 2.5 years ago, the Connecticut Department of Labor sent us a notice that we were going to be audited. No big deal, a lot of organizations get audited for different reasons. However, the Department of Labor, what they were really looking at was they were trying to classify more and more of people that are associated with us, what we call subcontractors. They were trying to classify those as employees, and for the past 2.5 years, that's really what I've been fighting Department of Labor about.
I was very surprised when I heard about Department of Labor was trying to classify referees and probably other people as employees. It really shocked me. My issue is that my oldest, 15, just got her referee license, and what I found very strange about it is that somebody who I would consider a non-employee, somebody who should be a 1099 from a club, my daughter can work at any of the clubs, and I don't know if there's 100 or 200 or 1,000 in Connecticut, but is she an employee of 1,000 different places? No, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. She's basically providing a service as I would as a consultant.
But if you talk to any referee or official on a field, they're not employed by the teams that they're officiating over. In fact, they're the ones that maintain control over those two teams, decide when the game is going to start or stop, and who gets thrown out of the game, essentially.
Clinicians are those individuals who have approached the club to run a clinic. We may have a really good coach in the area who wants to run a full clinic. There's a professional goalkeeper who we're very fortunate enough to have in the area who wanted to run a goalkeeper clinic. Well, this professional goalkeeper has now been classified as my employee by the state of Connecticut Department of Labor. It's not only the clinician who's running the clinic, it's their assistants. So maybe assistant clinicians, we'll call them. It might be a high school athlete or a 14-year-old who was paid $8 to help out that head clinician.
Yet they go in and make those findings day in and day out, and which forces then those clubs to prove otherwise. Well, I mean, I think anecdotally we hear stories of anywhere from $500 to $2,000 in fines that they get out of these organizations. So if they're doing 50 a year, it's not a lot of money. I mean, maybe 20,000 they're getting annually, if that. But again, the damage that it does long term is far more harmful. The problem with it is it's a philosophical change to the ABC test, which is what governs how and when there's an employee-employer relationship. And if they're able to corrode the pure interpretation of that test, that affects all employers across the state of Connecticut. And eventually that could be bigger dollars.
I think the legislatures need to realize that, I don't know if they're trying to get income out of it, but this is not what you want to make, for an income base for the state.
Unfortunately, the Connecticut Department of Labor has classified them as my employee, and I just don't know why. The club has had to make a decision to not run certain clinics that we know are going to be erroneously classified by the Department of Labor, or increase the fees.
I just don't understand what the Department of Labor is trying to accomplish by saying that people are employees.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook. As you're getting back to your regular schedules, we're excited to get back to doing what we do best, offering you the freshest seasonal fare and all the ingredients for a healthy start to school. So shop Walter Stewart's for everything fresh, from A, apples to Z, zucchini, and from cotton candy grapes to back to nature all-natural snack bags. We save you time by stocking all of your favorite back-to-school essentials under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan, and you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
At Mex on Main, Trumbull's very own Mexican grill, we're all about fresh, fast, and friendly service. Our Main Street restaurant offers the best in traditional and non-traditional Mexican dishes, with only the best ingredients, never frozen. From authentic burritos, fajitas, quesadillas, and salads, we have something on the menu for everyone in the family. And enjoy our open salsa bar, giving you more ways to customize your meal. Stop in for lunch or dinner at 6528 Main Street, Trumbull, or find out more at mexonmain.com.
At Elements Massage Ridgefield, we believe in quality services that are affordable and focused on therapy and healing. The licensed massage therapists are available 7 days a week, offering deep tissue and Swedish massage, as well as prenatal and couples massage. Special introductory rates are available now, or try our Elements trademarked wellness program. For more information, contact Elements Massage Ridgefield at 203-403-3348 or visit elementsmassage.com/Ridgefield.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We're back on this September 28th edition of CT Pulse on the HAN Network. I almost said coffee break, but here we are. Josh is joining me.
Okay.
And it's time to break down some of the stories that we're following this week, Josh.
Yes.
Including one involving Congressman Himes. He took a lot of heat last week for being the only congressman to vote against a tax break for U.S. Olympic and Paralympic medalists. But the New York Times wrote an interesting piece today talking about that vote, which was 415-1. Himes called it a lonely, lonely moment. But he also went on to say that we've got a Zika virus, an opium epidemic, and gun violence in the news every day. I think those are the issues that Congress should be spending time on. He thought that it wasn't necessary to give a tax break to those medalists, that there were more important things going on.
Interesting thing to do in an election year, too.
Yeah.
You know, particularly in this county. I wonder what August Wolf thinks about this, former Olympian August Wolf and failed Republican candidate for U.S. Senate.
Right. And you know, Himes did say, why should Olympians get tax breaks when other extraordinary Americans don't? Now, here's the thing. I respect the heck out of anyone that is the only person or one of very few to vote against something. I think that does take some guts, and it is interesting in an election year. I wonder if... I
mean, John Shaban is running against him. I did see some stuff over the weekend about him, you know, criticizing Himes for doing that, and along with he's using the chicken emoji because Himes will only debate him twice. I thought it was good use of the chicken emoji. You know,
so rare you get to use the chicken emoji.
And if Tim Herbst is watching, a chicken emoji goes a lot further than the middle finger emoji.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. It can also, you know, less trouble. You'll get in less trouble for using it.
Yeah, you can even do the chicken and the poop emoji together.
That's a good one. I didn't think of that. Someone's been using emojis a lot lately.
I'll be texting that to you later today.
All right, another story that we're following this week. This one just fascinates me. Speaking of Trumbull, the chairman of the Trumbull Police Commission, Roger McGovern, he is being investigated currently for harassing a Bridgeport resident. The rundown of the story is a cyclist going to work at Stop and Shop in Trumbull collided with McGovern's car back on August 19th. And since then, this man claims that McGovern once kind of surrounded him when he went on his bike with 3 other men, showed him a badge, said he was a law enforcement officer, and that this man had to pay him $2,600 for repairs to his car. The man said, please go through insurance. I don't have that kind of money. I work at Stop and Shop. Then McGovern proceeded, according to this police report, to go to Stop and Shop to look for the man on 3 separate occasions. At one point, the complainant finally said, I'm going to call police, and McGovern allegedly responded, I am the police. So really interesting story here. Now, police commission, it's a volunteer position. It's appointed by the first selectman, and they oversee the police department. So I have heard that they do receive some sort of badge as a police commissioner. But they are not a law enforcement member. They are not trained as such. And I know this is causing a lot of backlash. Some calling for his resignation, some saying, well, we haven't heard from him yet. Maybe we don't have the full story. And I know that Donald Lang at the Trumbull Times spoke this morning to Trumbull Police Chief Michael Lombardo, who said that investigation is ongoing. So I wonder if there is, like, do you get impersonating a law enforcement
they are,
official?
and police commissioners generally too, and they're separate from the town. They have, once they're appointed, they don't have, like, the first selectman can't tell them what to do.
Right.
For example, usually in most town charters, that's how it works. And they do get the badges. I mean, they're the boss. They're together the commission. There's 3 members, I assume, right in the
Right.
Trumbull.
I believe there's 3.
So that's how most towns have it. So
3 or 5.
they're like not necessarily like Tony Scalia in The Commish, that great show from the early 90s. But they are the bosses of the police department, of the police chief.
But to be trying to collect money not through insurance
definitely.
against a cyclist that collided with your car seems a little inappropriate to me.
How does a bicycle
cause $2,600 worth of damage? And how much damage did that
so
guy
miss Kate
endure?
finishing my sentences while I was away for 2 weeks.
Next time I try, you can just be like, wrong.
That's what my heart's saying, Kate.
But no, continue.
I forget where I was going, Kate.
But it's just a really interesting story. We have to see what happens with it.
What's sort of, in Trumbull, Trumbull's like an onion. There's several layers to anything that happens in any story in Trumbull.
Right.
Is there any sort of backlash here with McGovern and his political connections in town?
Not that I've seen so far. I have seen people on the other side of it saying that First Selectman Tim Herbst should come forward and call for his resignation for being involved in this investigation. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. But if the investigation is ongoing, I guess I can understand waiting on that and seeing what happens with it. But by the way, the police department administration called McGovern and said he had to stop contacting this man and he has to go through the proper channels to try to recoup any money for damage. So I don't know.
I mean, it could just be too that he's just really upset that his car was damaged, and this is maybe the best way to handle it. But if you know where the guy works and you want to go, you shouldn't harass him, and you maybe should go through insurance. But maybe things happen different in his day.
Right. So we don't know the whole story, but very interesting there. Josh, you added another story that I know you found interesting today.
I did. So, and after talking with Carol from the Yankee Institute, the Yankee Institute got a hold of this leaked draft bill that Mark Finch wrote about last night, it's moving towards regionalization. We've talked about regionalization before on this show. This is something that has been a big fear basically since Malloy took office, now almost 6 years ago. And this is about regionalizing all of the health departments. We saw this happen 8 years ago or so. The state cut down how many health districts there are. There's now 73 health districts in the state. Each town had its own, other than maybe some of the northern towns, which were regionalized already. But what is happening now is there's a push to make each county to have county health districts.
Oh, wow.
And this would also then involve all the smaller suburban towns would contribute to the cities too, and it'd be mostly based in the cities. And what Fitch writes in here, based on what this league draft would, is that funding for the new health district would be based on the population of each district and the operating budget of each municipality in that district. Each district will receive $1.85 per person in the district, provided each municipality in the district contributes 1.5% of their previous year's operating budget. So that's a big chunk of change.
Yes.
And things are not handled exactly that way right now. So this is another big fear, particularly, you see that really down here in Fairfield County where there's more the towns are there's a bigger population in
Yes.
each town, and it's not as rural necessarily as it is in northern Connecticut. And the fear is too for the Westports and the Fairfields of having to operate with Bridgeport, or whether it's Darien and New Canaan having to operate with Norwalk or Stamford, where they feel like it's nicer to have that local control.
local control, right,
You know,
which I understand.
Darien and New Canaan combined their health district years ago, which neither town wanted to do.
Right.
I think they probably would say that it's worked out all right so far. But other towns have you covered that in Trumbull
Right.
and Monroe combining their districts, and then they separated.
Yeah, Trumbull and Monroe did have a combined district when I was working there, but Tim Herbst made a push to separate them, and so now Trumbull has its own health district. So interesting to see where that's going to go.
And the thing about this too, the fear about regionalization is then it creates more levels of government, because along with each county, then they'd appoint a commissioner, a head person in each county, and have these gigantic boards that would oversee this. And the fear is that the councils of government, which we've talked about also before, would then lead to more. You know, you go just across the line into New York State, and New York State has county governments and county legislators that are more elected people, and really just impose taxes onto the suburban towns to help pay for the cities.
Right. All right. Well, interesting story there, Josh. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back,
All right.
Doug Smith joins us. He made a few cartoons of you while you were away.
Oh, fun. I can't wait to see them.
Well, we're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
1, 2, 3, Abby! You know!
I want to find out how good I am.
Yes, sir! If you relax, you get blown out! Let's get it done! Let's get it done!
What can you take advantage of right now?
Again, come on!
I can push myself way beyond what you think.
Pressure technique! Bring it back!
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking. To a partner that makes small businesses feel big. Where community comes first. Where high-tech tools go hand in hand with a human touch. Where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver. Where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. My property taxes on my single-family home were close to $20,000 a year. Now that I've downsized and I'm in a townhome, and because of the condo tax laws, my fees have gone from $20,000 down to about $5,300 with the star exemption. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
At the Ridgefield Suzuki School, we believe that every child can. Using the internationally recognized Suzuki method, children learn to play their instrument in an environment of encouragement, parental support, and community. The Suzuki approach seeks to develop the whole child, to help unfold his or her natural potential to learn. Private lessons and group classes are offered on violin, viola, cello, and piano for children ages 4 and up, and young children can enroll in their school's early childhood classes before beginning an instrument. The Ridgefield Suzuki School, nurturing a love of music in all children. Call us at 203-403-2667 or visit ridgefieldSuzukiSchool.com.
At Greenwood Physical Therapy of Bethel, individualized care, knowledgeable staff, and state-of-the-art equipment provide the best of orthopedic and sports medicine services. Our experienced therapists at Greenwood provide the highest level of knowledge and care. Greenwood accepts most kinds of insurance, and staff are there to answer your questions. Open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., the clinic serves the greater Danbury area and is a convenient drive from Reading. Appointments are available within 24 hours. Just call 203-917-4792 or visit greenwoodphysicaltherapy.com for more information.
I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ing for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Thursday, where we bring you all the top stories from Connecticut sports.
From highlights to player interviews and expert analysis, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports, now Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network.
We are back, and it's time for drawing conclusions. Doug Smith broke into a barber shop, and look at the damage he's caused. Doug Smith, our editorial
Well, I'm
cartoonist.
just bitter, because I don't have hair, so I resent anyone who
But
does.
the facial hair is so amazing. So what's
That's a
the problem,
fun back-to-school haircut.
Yeah,
I think,
really.
You know?
All right, so Doug, what do you have for us this week?
Oh, well, first thing, actually, I want to say that this week is our my 1700th cartoon that I've
Really?
drawn. And they've given me this.
He made himself a trophy.
Well, they presented me with this handsome little
it's
commemorative
beautiful.
trophy.
Hold it up.
Oh, it's really lovely. Somebody spent a lot of time on that.
They did. Yeah.
Who made that, AJ?
But let's get back to Shelter Ridge. Much of Shelton is against the 121-acre development on Bridgeport Avenue. And they say, actually, a marketing expert says there's a demand for us, and strangely enough, that expert was hired by you.
Yeah, how about that, huh? Yeah.
How funny how that works, right? You can always find an expert that backs you up.
Pay someone anything, they'll say anything.
Now tell us about this.
That's in Milford. The apartment complex, the people are against it. We're saying it will upset the wetlands and the wildlife, so they're willing to move the box turtles who are inhabitants there.
Oh, look at the mailbox bee turtle.
Oh, they kicked me out.
And up next, a little promo for an upcoming event.
Yep. Last year at this time, Weston was upset with my Blessing of the Animals cartoon, so I decided to do something nice for him this year.
I love that Blessing of the Animals cartoon. All right, and tell us about this one. Darien's historic 63-acre Ziegler property. We've talked a lot about this. $175 million. Toss in the washer and dryer, make it $173.5 million, and you've got a deal.
I always wonder if they try to talk him down to those kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. And tell us about this.
That Ridgefield, they have a refugee family that they're setting up there, and a lot of people were protesting it. So just
So a
decided to have
little
some fun.
alien
Yeah.
I like it. Very barren wasteland there in Ridgefield. And Stratford Arts Festival, October 2nd.
This is their first Arts Fest, so we wanted to plug that.
Very cool. And tell us about this one. Oh, the drought.
Yeah, the drought, that's running in a few of the papers.
Good for vultures.
Yeah.
That does look like all the grass right now, I have to say.
It does.
Yeah. And up next, I think this is our last one. Tell us about this one.
Oh, Herbst about his email where he did the Dirty Harry Clint Eastwood thing.
Yes.
So we got a little reference to another Clint Eastwood movie here.
I guess he took it the wrong way.
Well, he's hanging out with Clyde the Ape. Yeah.
Awesome. Josh missed talking about that one with me last week. But Doug, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, fun
Thanks,
as always.
Doug.
We're going to wrap things up here on CT Pulse, but of course we'll be back next Wednesday at 12:30. And if you missed anything, you can watch us on demand at HAN.network, right?
That's right, Kate.
I thought you were going to say wrong.
Wrong.
All right,
Wrong.
we'll see you later.
Wrong.